Christmas Eve at Mom's house buzzed with the usual chaos of extended family gathering around the heavily decorated tree. But this year's conversation had taken an unexpected turn toward real estate speculation. My sister Kavya held court from the living room sofa, her iPad displaying photos of a stunning beachfront property while relatives leaned in to admire the oceanfront views. The timing couldn't be better, Kavya announced to the assembled aunts and uncles. Maya's been renting this place in Malibu, but the lease expires next month. Perfect opportunity for us to take it over. I nearly choked on my eggnog. The rental property Kavya was discussing was actually my $3 million beach house, purchased 18 months ago through my cybersecurity consulting firm after landing several high-value government contracts. Show them the infinity pool, urged cousin Priya, apparently already invested in Kavya's vacation plans. Kavya swiped through professional photos of the outdoor entertaining area, the chef's kitchen, and the master suite that overlooked the Pacific. 6 bedrooms, private beach access, and a gourmet kitchen. The kids will love it this summer. The kids in question, Kavya's twin 8-year-olds, had never shown particular appreciation for luxury accommodations, but the adults gathered around her iPad were clearly impressed by the property's obvious expense and exclusivity. Maya's always been good at finding rental deals, Mom added helpfully, as if my supposed talent for budget accommodation had somehow secured access to a property that rented for $15,000 per week. Rental deals. My family's understanding of my finances remained frozen at Maya Does Computer Consulting, despite the fact that my cybersecurity firm protected Fortune 500 companies and government agencies from sophisticated digital attacks. How did you manage to afford something like this? Asked Uncle Raj with the suspicious tone he reserved for financial arrangements that seemed too good to be true. Maya probably got some kind of corporate discount, Kavya replied dismissively. She's always been practical about finding cheap alternatives to expensive things. Cheap alternatives. The beach house featured custom smart home technology, restored mid-century furniture, and art collection worth more than most people's annual salaries. But to my family, I remained the budget-conscious sister who found good deals, rather than someone who could afford premium properties. We'll need to coordinate the transition carefully, Kavya continued, apparently assuming that my lease expiration meant automatic transfer to whoever wanted the property most. I've already contacted a moving company about relocating our summer wardrobes. Summer wardrobes. She'd begun planning a permanent relocation to my beach house based on the assumption that family members could simply inherit each other's living arrangements without consultation or legal documentation. My phone buzzed with an alert from the house's security system. Motion detected at main entrance. Unauthorized vehicle in driveway. I glanced at the notification, noting that someone was apparently conducting a preliminary visit to the property without my knowledge or permission. Kavya, I said carefully, have you been to the beach house recently? Yesterday, she replied with the casual confidence of someone who felt entitled to access. Had to measure the kids' rooms and check the kitchen layout. Don't worry, I used the spare key from under the planter. There was no spare key under any planter. The house's entry system operated through biometric scanners, encrypted key cards, and facial recognition technology that I'd had installed for security purposes. Whatever Kavya had accessed yesterday, it wasn't my property. The confusion deepened as Kavya continued describing her inspection visit to relatives who hung on every detail of the luxury accommodations they assumed would soon be available for family vacations. The master bathroom has a soaking tub that overlooks the ocean, she told Aunt Sudha while scrolling through photos that were definitely from my house. And the wine cellar is fully stocked with premium bottles. The wine cellar that had taken me 6 months to curate, featuring vintages I'd collected through estate sales and private auctions. Each bottle had been catalogued and stored according to precise temperature and humidity specifications. Maya, you've really outdone yourself with this place, Dad said, apparently crediting me with excellent taste while completely missing the financial implications of owning such property. The security system is incredibly advanced, Kavya continued, now discussing technical details that made my stomach tighten. Cameras everywhere, motion sensors, even some kind of facial recognition setup. Very sophisticated for a rental property. Sophisticated because it was designed to protect a multi-million-dollar investment, not accommodate temporary tenants. The security system Kavya was describing with such admiration was currently sending real-time alerts to my phone about unauthorized presence in the house. Did you notice any problems with the technology? I asked, genuinely curious about how she'd managed to access property protected by systems I'd personally supervised installing. Nothing major. A few error messages about unrecognized users, but rental properties always have glitches like that. Unrecognized users. My security system had been attempting to identify intruders while Kavya assumed she was experiencing minor technical difficulties with rental equipment. My phone buzzed again. Security alert. Unauthorized access attempt detected. Facial recognition scan failed. Owner verification requested. Through the Christmas Eve conversation, I realized that Kavya had somehow confused my beach house with a different property entirely. The rental she'd been planning to inherit was actually someone else's vacation home that happened to look similar to mine in online photos. Kavya, I said slowly, what's the exact address of this rental property? She rattled off an address that was 3 blocks away from my actual house. Close enough for confusion, different enough to explain why she'd been able to access it with whatever key she'd found. And you're certain the lease is transferring to you next month? The property management company confirmed it, she said confidently. Very professional operation. They even mentioned that the current tenant had been an excellent client. Current tenant. Someone else entirely whose lease arrangements had nothing to do with our family or my property ownership. At that moment, my phone rang with a call from my actual beach house's security company. Dr. Chin? We're showing continued unauthorized presence at your Malibu property. Should we dispatch security personnel? The entire room went quiet as they overheard the conversation that was about to clarify several important misunderstandings about property ownership, rental arrangements and family vacation plans. Actually, I said, putting the call on speaker, I think we need to have a longer conversation about exactly which property my sister has been visiting. The security company's voice filled the Christmas Eve silence with professional efficiency that cut through my family's vacation fantasies like a blade through wrapping paper. Dr. Chin were showing multiple unauthorized entries over the past week. The facial recognition system has been logging unknown individuals accessing the property. Should we treat this as a security breach? Dr. Chin. Kavya's voice cracked with confusion. Who's Dr. Chin? I am, I said, watching my family's expressions shift from holiday excitement to bewilderment. It's my house, Kavya. My beach house that you've been planning to inherit. The iPad slipped from her hands, clattering onto Mom's hardwood floor as the implications registered. Your house. Maya, you can't afford a house like that. $3.2 million, I said matter-of-factly. Purchased in cash 18 months ago through my cybersecurity firm's real estate investments. Dad's surgeon precision kicked in as he processed the financial details. $3.2 million? Maya, what exactly does your consulting company do? Government contracts, Fortune 500 cybersecurity, international data protection. Last year's revenue was $47 million. The silence that followed was broken only by my phone's continued security alerts and the Christmas tree's twinkling lights that suddenly seemed inappropriate for the conversation unfolding. But you drive that old Honda, Mom whispered, apparently struggling to reconcile my modest transportation choices with multi-million-dollar property ownership. Dr. Chen, the security voice continued through my phone speaker, we're also showing that someone has been photographing the interior and discussing renovation plans. Should we file a trespassing report? Kavya, I said evenly, which property have you actually been visiting? She retrieved her iPad with shaking hands, pulling up the address information with the desperate precision of someone hoping to find a mistake that would save her from complete humiliation. 1742 Ocean Drive, she read aloud. My house is 1798 Ocean Drive. The wrong house. For a week, Kavya had been trespassing on someone else's property, planning renovations to rooms she'd never legally accessed, and promising family vacations at a beach house that belonged to complete strangers. Security company, I addressed my phone, please coordinate with Malibu police. We have a family member who's been accidentally trespassing and needs to return any keys she may have found. Christmas Eve had just become significantly more interesting. The aftermath unfolded with swift consequences that my family hadn't anticipated when they planned their summer vacation takeover. Kavya's trespassing at the neighboring property resulted in formal police documentation and a very awkward conversation with the actual owners, who'd been wondering about the unauthorized property assessment activities. The moving company she'd contacted required cancellation fees for services that were never legally contracted. Her kids' excitement about their new beach house transformed into disappointment that she had to explain without admitting her complete misunderstanding of property ownership. Most significantly, my family's assumptions about my financial situation ended permanently. Uncle Raj's suggestions about helping Maya find better housing met with property portfolios that included 5 residential investments across 3 states. Mom's book club friends who'd been invited to Maya's beach house parties discovered that invitations would now go through security clearance and formal guest protocols. 6 months later, I hosted my first legitimate family gathering at the beach house. Kavya attended as a properly screened guest, having learned that vacation planning requires actual property access rather than wishful thinking. The security system still sends alerts about unauthorized visitors, but now they're just overly enthusiastic neighbors rather than family members planning permanent relocation.